running, and I have various images which is running here in my Docker container. So now let's resume. So we were able to run an application on our local machine, but how should we containerize this particular microservice? Containerize a microservice, again, it's very simple. I'll share the steps, what we need to do. So I'll just go to the folder where we created the microservice. Something cd my micro, right? So it was like this, right? So now you see here, this is the code which we have. So what we need to do is we need to create a Docker file which will contain the installation instruction. And the Docker file, I'll just quickly show you and explain you what is this Docker file all about. So basically you create a file, something like this, with instructions to what you need in the Docker. So Node is also available as a Docker container. So here you see that first command is from node:slim. So what does this mean is, in Docker is like a new operating system, but it's a very lightweight operating system. There is an official image of Node available on Docker. Because what we did is we installed Node on Mac OS, but actually in production when we will be running it, we can run it in Linux, and a very lightweight server we can use, so that we can utilize the full power of hardware in running our microservice. So what we are doing is we are running a very small container, and in this container we will install Node. So that is all the first command is about, right? So when I say Node, Docker understands where to find the node. Right? So this is Docker Hub. Docker Hub is like GitHub, but instead of source code, it contains all the Docker files, Docker images. So next thing is, after we install the NodeSlim means there are various options which is available here. So which is various distributions of Linux, and then what you get is you get a container running Linux, and you get Node and only tools which are required to run Node in this case. And there is a slim tag also available. So for example, here there is a slim tag. So this means I am running a very lightweight container. So this is all about the batch file. It's similar to batch file, but it is called Dockerfile. So first thing is install the image, which is the NodeSlim image. Then it will create a working directory, which will be this folder within our Docker image. It will copy the package star.json file into the current working directory, which will be user src app. So this is the next stage. Package star, which I have given because I have two files here. One is, I'll show you in the terminal, our package.json. I'll just show you. This is the package.json and package-lock.json. So this one is created when we run the npm init command to create the project. Second one was created when we run the install express, right? npm install express command. So the second file got created. If you copy this, then all the dependencies will also get copied. Because now what we are doing after this, you are running npm install command. When you run npm install command, it will install express.js, express library, and since we have the dependency updated in package.json, it will install not only node but it will also install express.js as well. So once you have everything copied, we also copy the source code. So we will copy the current package which contains the source code to the Docker image. And then finally we will expose the port 3000 in the Docker container. And finally what we do is we'll run the command node index.js. So these are various commands which will be run as a batch file in your Docker container. Correct. So now to quickly show you how will you instantiate a Docker image, I'll share the steps. So you create the Docker file as I have shown you. Next thing what you need to do is, after you have the Docker file, you need to run the command docker build -t. You need to give a username and you can run something like this, right? So you have to give this command. Now what this command means, it will build the Docker image and it will tag, -t is the tag, and this ttalong could be your username. In this case, it's my username in Docker Hub. Docker Hub is something which is like GitHub, and you would have a username, and this is the name of my image which I want to keep, right? So when I run this command, it will create locally a Docker image, right? And when you create this command, run this command successfully, let me show you also running it, because right now I don't have the Docker file created in this package. So I will use it in the other package, or let me show you run this command. So here this command builds an image from a Docker file. So let me quickly copy the Docker file also, which I showed, to this directory. Right. And then I can run this image. Okay. So I think dot is also required at the end, so that I can specify where to create this Docker image. Just a minute, let me check this. Yeah. So as I said, you have to also specify where to create the Docker image. So you see dot, you say dot, and this will download the image of node, right? And then it will run everything which I have given. So these are various steps. Great. Anything, any query? I go ahead?
Go ahead, this is good.
Right. So we created a Docker image. So Docker image is a static image like class. It is not executing at the moment. To execute this image, I run another command, which is docker run, and then -p. -p means expose the 3000 port in the container as 3000 port in my local machine, right? So this is one command which I run, and I specify also the name of my container. Because the container is available locally, I have tagged it. So this is way to run it locally, right? Now if I run it, you see here I can see the application running in port 3000. Now next step is I do the same command localhost 3000, and now in this case this server is running in the Docker container, not on my local machine, right? So the beauty of this is that I will tell you in a minute that any number of containers I can create in my machine, so that many instances of server will be running. So let me show you again, demonstrate something. I will create one more terminal, right? So let me create a new terminal window. So I have the terminal now running, and let me go to the same package. And I think, yeah, you don't need to go to the package also, because Docker is running and it knows. But yeah, just I'm going here. I run the same command again because I've already built the image. Yeah, you may need to come to this folder because the image might be built here, or Docker knows where the image is. I run this, but just to check, no, because yeah, this command will not execute because I already have something running on port 3000. So this time let's expose 3001 as the port, right? So I'll create another process, and it is now running in 3001. Just ignore this. This was hard coded in the code. So that's why it's printing here. But I have this running. You see here, 3000 is running. Let's try what happens if I put 3001. I get the same result. So I have two servers running, one in 3000, other in 3002. Yeah, sorry, 3000 and another one in 3001. I can create 3 or 4 such server instances on my single machine. First time I have to follow all these steps, but once I have created an image, I can run it just by giving this command and giving this tag for the image name, right? So this is about Docker.
So this is the way where there are multiple Docker instances are running of the same applications. It's a way to cluster it, and then
Yes,
there you
yes.
need Kubernetes to kind of manage the cluster. That's how
Right,
we,
right,
yeah.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely,
Okay.
right? Because now I have not used database.
Yeah.
I have not used any web server. So I may have multi-tier application. So everything, the entire data center, I can run in my single laptop using Docker, and I can manage them using Kubernetes,
Cool.
right? So yeah, this is, you see here I have two containers running, right? I have more containers also, but these are not running. But these are the two which are running. One, it says 3 minutes ago I started, it's in running stage. Other one is 2 minutes ago it started, it's also in running stage, right?
Yeah.
So you can start whenever you need, and I can now keep updating my source code. I don't have to focus on installation step, and I can run as many cluster as possible, right? Let's do one more command, and then probably I'll have another session in some other day where we will be covering Kubernetes, but this is more of a session of Docker, right? Because we got some time, we missed some time because of some issue which got into my machine, but finally it got running. This is good. So now what I will do is I have two places these servers running, so I will keep these running. I'll open another terminal because I want, say, Shrikant, you also should be running one machine in one code in your system. So like in GitHub, we can share source code, and when I commit something, you can see my changes. In the same way, in Docker, when I say Docker push, Docker run is to run the image. When I say Docker push and I give this command, right, it gets pushed to the public repository, which is Docker Hub in this case. Correct?
Yep.
Now, when you run this, after I have pushed this command, right, once this, it already exists because I created it already. But yes, what you can do is you can go to Docker Hub. It's like GitHub. And when you open here, you will find all the libraries. So you need to log in also in Docker Hub. And once you are logged in with your user, you can search. So I can create repositories which are private, repositories which are public. So this image, not repositories, images which are public. Since I've created this as public, you see here, you will be also be able to
I can
find
see
it
actually.
and install it. Perfect. Right?
I can see it. I open Docker Hub and then
Yes,
see your
yes, awesome. So then just if you run this command, which I ran, you will get everything installed and running in your server. So it's also very good way to say, assume you are a admin who wants to manage this in a data center. So I just have to give you this command and you will get any complex application up and running in minutes. Right? This is almost like virtual machine, and you can share the image through this cloud service, which is Docker Hub. So you can create test environments, you can create QA environments and production environments and various acceptance testing and integration environment also using simple commands. So it's very easy to replicate, and I can collaborate with my team also. And this is 100% guarantee that if it is running in my machine, it will also run in your machine. So this is all about Docker and Docker Hub. And yeah, just for sake of time, I will pause here, and maybe in the part 2, I will show next how to manage these containers, and we'll put a load balancer, and we will see this same thing running in the Kubernetes environment again on my local machine in the Minikube, right? And then in later classes, we will also cover how to run it in the AWS cloud or Google cloud or Azure cloud, because this is also guaranteed that if it can run on my machine, it can run in Azure or Google cloud also. So whatever we are doing is a cloud native application. Cloud native application is an application which can run in any environment, whether it is a local machine or any QA machine. It could be data centers within the organization, or it could be data centers outside the organization. So if you want to run in Google Cloud, you can do it. And the same command will also run in Amazon Cloud and Azure Cloud also, or any other cloud like Heroku or any service provider, any cloud provider. So this is the other benefit which you get, but maybe with Docker you then don't get this benefit, but with Kubernetes you get that benefit. Right, so this is all about developing cloud native applications and running a microservice, simple microservice in Docker, and then eventually we'll run it in Kubernetes in the next class. Perfect. So Any questions, or shall we close this session?
No questions, sir. Thank you. This was good.
Perfect, perfect. Great. Then I'll share the recording, and then let others also watch and come to this stage, and they'll take up further running it in Kubernetes. How to manage these containers and how to get this running in Kubernetes. Thank you.
Yep. Sounds good.